Hello, my name is Ilija and I come from Novi Sad. This talk is about our approach to agile development. And to put the story in context, well, I have to do that because agile is so many things to so many different people. So, if you don't put it into a context, then some of these ideas don't make sense or just look stupid. So we have been developing Active Collab, a project collaboration platform, for a decade now. So almost a decade as a commercial product, a decade as an open source product since open source version. And we are in process of starting our own software consultancy as a sister company. So that's one of our strategic projects. To put things into context, Active Collab is a software as a service type of product that also has an on-premise version. So we have a self-hosting version. This means that we have real releases, like version numbers. So it's not continuous integration. It's a hybrid because you cannot have continuous integration when you have on-premise version. You have to deliver particular increments, and you have to persuade people to actually upgrade. So every new release has to have value and communicated value for them to upgrade. So that influences some of our thinking about how we develop features and how we develop services. And software consultancy is a strategic project for us because Active Collab is used by consultancies a lot, and if you are if you've been developing a product as a software company for a decade, you kind of lose touch with challenges that consultancies face. So technically, we are putting ourselves into like consultancy fire in order. It's connected with Active Collab as a product. It will eventually experience that we gain from consultancy will translate to Active Collab, and experience that we have with developing Active Collab for 10 years can easily be translated to consultancy, so they go hand in hand. Plus, they should make money, so yeah. Sometimes we sprint. That's this is like typical Scrum, like first or second graph from when you Google Scrum graph. And we do it not necessarily by the book, but a lot of elements are there. So we have daily sit-downs because they don't last long because they are time limited most of the time. Team leads have a bit longer meeting because it's like 15 minutes for the team to stay to answer the 3 questions. And then if anyone has a particular question for the team lead, they have that. I give them an hour and then they are off. A colleague usually gives them more, but I give them an hour. So 15 minutes for the meeting, 45 minutes if they have any questions, and then as a business owner, I'm off. That's my lead hat's off, and I'm doing something else. 2-week sprints. Each starts with a kickoff. Each has a goal or a theme, and definition of done. We recently changed it to it has to work in staging. So it's not like quality assured. It has to actually work in staging environment, because we found that integration is challenging. It's a moving target. If you like develop different elements, then integration adds a lot of complexity at the end. If you just hope that it will work, so we agreed that deployment in staging and quality assurance in staging is definition of done when we consider a feature or a functionality to be completed. This is Shepherd is our current project that we are working on. By big project, well, you guys are some of you are from enterprise type of software and bigger software. Big project for us is like 6 months, so that's why we can do all sorts of stupid things and still be agile, because our projects are inherent by their nature. They are small. We make them small. So our big project is like 6 months, and here are the sprints. This project illustrates a type of project that is deadline oriented. So how you estimate projects? You can do 2 types of goals. First, you can shoot for a particular date or time period, like second quarter of 2017. And then use that date, and then break down the project backwards. So you break it so things that you want to implement fit into that time frame. You lose a lot of extra functionality in order to meet that date. So you are moving backward in order to make the deadline. Another type of projects that we do, sometimes we do this, sometimes this one is deadline oriented because we have window of opportunity for 2 weeks around Christmas. That is when deployment of this thing, this one is our billing, and it does billing, it does licensing, it does like account management. So it's a core of our infrastructure, and when we deploy it, it will disrupt a couple of things, and we want to affect as little as the smallest group of users as possible. And so it's like end of December, like Christmas, when they are with their families, and so that is what we are looking for. If we miss that deadline, then we have January, which has like sarma, paprike, our Christmas, everyone is connecting the holidays, and then January is like, no, and it's February, and then if it's February, well, we waited so long, so it's March, and it's December. So yeah, like make it work until December. Another way of doing things is like you are shooting for a quality level, and then you implement features and elements of functionality to reach that quality level. So the deadline is moving. It's the quality that's constant. It's quality that's agreed by the team, and unless that quality has been reached, functionality will not be released. So different types of looking at how to estimate work. This one is deadline based. And this is for projects that or microservices or services in our infrastructure that are more than a month or two. Release date is a month or two ahead. So if it's more than a month or two, we will sprint it. There is no way to use the different method. There is, but it does not work that well. And this is for biggish type of projects. So when functionality, you just cannot plan it that far ahead. It's just too much work to plan it, and plans change, and then you have to change, adapt, and it just keeps moving. On the other hand, Active Collab is a stable product. It has been around for a decade, so we pretty much know what we are doing. We know which elements make a good project collaboration platform. We know what our customers are asking, who are customers, who are they, what they do, what are their challenges, and our customer care team keeps track of their suggestions. So they have like big features, and then whenever a suggestion comes in, like from chat or from email or from phone conversation, software presentation, they will map it with the features that we already have, or in some cases the idea is so novel that we haven't heard of it yet, and then they add it. That's rare. In 10 years you've pretty much heard everything. So and we actually do listen to customers. So these are our actual numbers. I don't know when exactly was this screenshot taken. This is like from Google Docs. So task dependency is pretty, well, not necessarily complicated, but it affects user experience a lot because it adds friction, it adds constraints to the software, so you need to address constraints. We like gray out, like complete checkbox when predecessor is not completed, yada yada. So you need to like really get the user experience right. You need to plan it well, design it well, because it will affect the entire software. On the other hand, like ordering of tasks on my work page, that's a low hanging fruit. Quite a bit of requests, like this is weekly or monthly, I'm not sure. Quite a bit of requests for something that can be like implemented in 2 weeks, like designed and implemented. So it's a long hanging fruit. Free plan, business, tremendous business impact, infrastructure needs to be planned. That's why it's red. Custom branding, of course. Do you want to let them custom brand your software, or what's more valuable, to take them money so they can white label it, or to have your brand always in front of the customer? So that's not a light decision to make. So you have to be careful with that. But everything is recorded we recently published an article in Smashing Magazine, and we said like we listen, we always listen, and we record all the feedback. No feedback gets lost, and our friend like bullshit. Of course, that feedback is lost. Like, what kind of company are you? You are actually listening? Well, yeah, they are recording everything, and it makes this, and we make decision based on this. Is this a design by committee type of thing? No, we choose the way we will build these things. We just want to see how their requests score. So when we know what we want to build, for example, like my task order, we will put this through this process. So this is like, we call this feature teams. It completely, the process is like mix of everything and nothing. It's a colleague suggested one thing, we suggested another thing, then we discussed this and we agree that it will not work, and this will work, and this will not work, and this is great idea, and this is stupid idea, and then eventually we got to this this process, and it does change. So this is graph for like 3 months ago. It's changed a bit already. So the whole idea now we know what we want to build. We discuss it with the designer, get all the edge cases ironed out, all that we can anticipate early on, get the copyright, because words are the most important interface element, well, most important interface element, period. So it's not buttons, it's not inputs, it's not radios, it's not graphs, it's words. How you communicate what something will do or what not do. So if it's defensive design, so you are why something failed, etc. So we try to get the copyright. We try to get the flows right, and we try to get the user experience as good as possible at this phase. And it's usually like 80–90% done, like design-wise, before we kick off a new feature. Once we kick off a feature, its first day is all meetings, pretty much. 3 phases: product owner and or project manager introduce the feature to the development team. So they communicate what this will do and why we are building this. So it's important not just to know what you are building and how to build it. It's why you will build it. Nice thing about our software is that we use it. So everyone on the team have experience with like task management, even doing projects for clients. So they have great input in this phase. So we discuss like why, like bigger picture, why are we building this? Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes we find some interesting use cases, and then team goes to your room. They go to their room because they get a war room for the feature, and then they discuss implementation details. So how they will approach development of this particular feature. Break it down into tasks, then break each task into subtasks. Level of like, this is estimation work, so it's part of planning and estimation. So the level of detail that they go to is like, we need this and this route that will handle post request to this controller. So it's pretty detailed. It's not like programming in Active Collab, but it lists like structural elements of the software that will be built. Once you have that list, you know how much time it will take approximately to get that developed. We use t-shirt sizes for complexities. We call them complexities, and I'm not sure how it's called in Scrum. Story points. We call them complexity points. So S or small, it's I can do this in a day. It will be done in a day. I can probably do a couple of these in a day. So it's smaller than day. Medium is it will take a day, maybe a bit of tomorrow. Large is this will take like 2–3 days, maybe a week. Extra large means break it into smaller parts. So we don't have extra large, never. Like epics are projects. Break them into sprints, break them into features, get them to S, M, and L sizes if possible. in our cases, in our environment, that is possible. I bet that there are projects where this cannot be used, but in our cases, we can really break down tasks to a really small level, like up to a week of work. Once they have the tasks, they know their velocity based on the team, and then they know how much time approximately they will take. Sometimes earlier they would just say like 4 weeks, and then it takes them 8. Now we would just sum up the complexities. We know our velocity, and we will just do the math and see how many weeks they need to complete the feature. If it's like 6 weeks, we are okay. If it's more, then we should break that feature into smaller ones. Haven't had that yet, but that would be like a rule of thumb. Another thing that the team proposes at this point are demo days, when they will demo a particular bit of functionality, because we learned that integration, again, repeating integration. Usually it's like 20% for bugs and defects, and 30% for underestimation, and you are like 1.5 modifier for your initial estimate. And somehow nobody like calculates integration into the math. Is it a defect, or So we add integration as early on. We start integrating software as soon as possible, and start working on features like to have them do something as soon as possible. So demos are once a week. Usually it's like Thursday is let's make it Thursday, and then it's Friday. So it's always like that. And then team demonstrates a bit of functionality. It has to work. Even if it's like a command line that takes one argument to do all sorts of things and then just outputs done. At least it works. Show me in the database that it actually updated the roofs or migrated the data or whatever. It does not need to be like user interface. It can be like, just make sure that it works. One thing has to work, and it's like a week of work. Another important element here is like, since features are always quality estimated, so they are never deadline estimated. I don't care if it's like ActiveCollab sells well. So there is no rush to do any particular feature by any particular date in our case. What does comes to bite us is if we rush it, if the quality is not there. So we always estimate and shoot for the quality level. So demo days help us see the feature prior as it evolves and see some early problems. So we will fix things during development instead of having to fix them later. Because when we get to the point like we shipped something, it needs to be improved or fixed, it competes with this, and it will never get a priority unless it's a bug. It will, like if it's like small improvement, like 2 days of work, it competes with other features, and it just like we could have do it like we are in the middle of recurring tasks feature, and there is one flow that we noticed did not work well, and we said okay, we will launch without it. We are like 3 weeks late with the estimate. That was like 6 months ago. 6 months ago. 2-day extra work never got done. Like that flow that we know, it's not broken, it just can be much better. That particular flow did not get to the priority list, and I doubt that it will take a year probably before someone addresses it. So we will find these problems, and then we will, while everyone knows what they are doing and while everyone's in the code and understand every bit, we will fix these usability issues. Like okay, so we have like high quality standard, now just make it better. Make sure that it works from the day one. A different feature that we developed like 2 months ago, not a single bug report, not a single feature enhancement request for that particular. These are like set of reports. Not a single one, just no defect, no rework, no nothing. It's just there, people use it, we watch the data, people do use these reports. And tweet, they are amazing, like these are like some timelines, and people like timelines. And no rework, 0 bucks for rework so far, and they are making us money. So getting the quality right proves, when you are working on features in stable projects, in stable products, actually makes money and saves money. So we focus there. Beating the deadline probably would have a different result. We would have a rework, so we would like work that we do ahead, we would have to work, invest it later on if we get to it. One of the changes that we made compared to this graph is that we make sure that quality assurance is part of the process from the day one. So front-end developers will create mocks, and a quality assurance team can create like front-end tests up front that are broken. So and quality assurance is done with every demo. Every demo gets tests. Tests get implemented. So code that will satisfy these tests gets implemented. Feature gets implemented. And what this helps us is like we get more tests this way. So strange thing, because it's always like we have developed this, let's bring it to the customers, rush the QA to complete the task, and then when he completes, he will just click through, confirm that it works, and it just goes to the customer. This way, tests get written as software is developed, and we end up with more tests. Like for demos, it will be like 8 tests probably. With QA done later, it will be like probably just 3 tests. Quality assurance done late usually takes a lot of time. So in some cases, the feature went and has been stuck in QA for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks with no particular reason. It's just a bunch of work has already been done, and now somebody is testing the functionality. Things don't work as expected. We notice some problems, and then rework, and then 3 weeks for a feature that was like 3 weeks in development or 4. This way we have like a week of quality assurance, code review, and in that time, development team works on bugs. So that's we don't switch them to a new feature. We don't switch them to any other work. This is like exclusively one thing that they are working on. So we will not switch them to anything. If they submitted a feature that's buggy, they will fix bugs more. So it will be like 2 or 3 weeks of quality assurance and code reviews and them fixing bugs. Or if they submitted a stable feature, QA will be done and helped QA to get the test done and everything. It will be out in 3 days, and they will have their sabbatical. They will have their day off. So that's the whole point of 2 points. First, it's not like it's punishment. It's not punishment. If something's buggy, just don't switch context. Do some small things, improve stability of the product, improve performance. Just don't start something big. And on the other hand, no context switching. Once merged to the master and deployed to customers, team gets a day off. They can do whatever they want, and the next day they get a new assignment. That's pretty much the process. So a couple of lean, like this is this Scrummy? No, is this this is actually something that we really thought of. A couple of people contributed different ideas. We put them in a pot and ended up with this. Gave it to the designer to make it pretty. Couple of lean things, like lean thinking, like Toyota Production System, like that that mindset are like strict work in progress capacity. Like team is committed to one feature and one feature only. They don't do anything else. They are just doing that particular thing. We don't pull them to any other projects. They are silver bullet, like things like production is broken. Something's broken, like fix it, and that type of thing, like production jeopardizing defects if discovered, and we have not had that yet. So this is like you are working on one thing and one thing only until it is done. Then you have a day off, and then you are off to the next thing that you should be working on. So strict capacity control, high quality, so quality oriented, not deadline oriented, completely quality oriented. Minimize defects, minimize rework, and what else? I forgot. There is something else. And then we submitted this process and wrote an article for Smashing Magazine, and then guy said, DC Dave something, congratulations, you just invented Waterfall. And it was like, oh, fuck. So, he got me thinking, yeah. And it's been a couple of months, so I have like, I have time to think about it, and I think it's bullshit. Sorry, streaming. When you active collab is we are solving a known problem for known customers in a known environment, and we can plan. We can plan some ideas and some features, like they're brewing in our heads with our designers for 6 months. It's not like they are doing their work for 6 months, like designing that particular thing and then end up with a book. Like implement this. It's just we give it time, and then when it's well thought out, we implement it. So there is quite a bit of planning ahead, but not in a traditional way. We are not sending men to the moon. We don't need that type of waterfall development process. Yeah. So Dave Eisenhower, Dwight. And it actually helps. Like planning really helps get more quality features out. What happens when people work on big things? They don't work on small things. So and defects just pile up. So they are no matter how much, like Active Collab is like 1200 unit tests plus like 200 API tests, and now there is like 30 something front-end happy flow tests and growing. So even with these testing, and these are like every push triggers the suit, and these tests get executed. We know what's green, what's red. Even with this in place, there are still some defects, and they just pile up. These are like, when I'm on a Hungarian keyboard and I press Shift-2, it does not trigger @mention feature because Shift-2 is at mention or something like that on Hungarian keyboard. So, okay, now go install Hungarian keyboard, see what happens, see how you do that, and why doesn't like monkey sign trigger @mention in this particular keyboard layout, because its code is different, and so these are this type of defects. Okay, Hungarian, but this is Spanish keyboard had that problem. So, and there is like when I'm in Denmark and do some things, then other thing does not work. These are really small defects, but they pile up, and then you have like mental energy just to go through the defect list, like 60, 70 of these small ones, some bigger, some smaller. In order to address them, we organize like bug hunt. Like last one was 2 weeks. It was a mistake. Just see like energy, tank. Second week is just dropped completely, like a bug a day per developer, and they fixed like 6 a day last week. So 2 weeks of fixing bugs, not good. Not keep it short, like 4 days, and extra day for leftovers. And yeah, the whole point about comparing the two things, like Scrum, like sprinting through work, sprinting through backlog, and using something that we developed by putting together elements from different methodologies, is just to illustrate that there is no one size fits all methodology. It's always thinking. The most important part of both methodologies is retrospective meeting. So what did we do good? Where we messed up? What can we learn from this? So with this, putting quality assurance at the end of the cycle, not a good idea. So we, after 1 or 2 features developed like that, okay, now this is a repeating team. Move it alongside development. And yeah, think about it. So Scrum is great. I have a love-hate relationship with Scrum because we did not have projects that required Scrum. Now that we do, it's awesome. Just and it's prescribed. You just try it, and you can use something off the shelf, and it will work most of the time. For the things that it does not work well for, you just think and improve in your environment. So great starting point. And different approaches get different results in different environments, different contexts, and serve different purposes. You just think about them. Just don't apply something that's written in a book. Thank you, you rock. Okay, questions now or later, and these are Twitter accounts that this is maintained by ActiveCollab is maintained by our marketing team, but they surface a lot of useful resources if you are in like consulting and productivity and stuff like that. And this is my babbling down. Yeah, and my partner and my project manager requested that I tell that we are hiring. So am I like 67th person on this conference that said that we are hiring? So go to careers, backend developers, front-end developers. I don't know. So my employer told me to tell them. Okay. So any questions about, I don't know, products, processes, making money of software by yourself, for your employer? Okay.
How many teams do you have?
Current.
Have any dependencies
No.
between them?
No.
That works.
We used to have like two teams. Like we are 20 something operation at this point. And don't get me started on the head count. So less head means more profit, which means better business, which means you can invest more money in marketing, which means you can bring more business, which means that you can bring more people. So we are kind of like oscillating, like yo-yo. A lot of people, small team. A lot of people, small team. So yeah, we had like two teams. Now we are pretty much on one big team to get to get the shepherd out. So everyone's in one room and just hammering that thing to get it out in December. But usually it's two teams. Dependencies, no strict dependencies. Like really. Well, promiscuous merging, like merge. If there is something like merge their branch and integrate it locally, see how it works, and then continue. There is like one like date refactoring that like 6 months in front end layer. So someone did not use Moment when they should have used Moment. So it's like 6 months of work now, and that one's hard. So we have been merging that particular branch in our feature branches to just see if there are conflicts and fix things up. And so, but yeah, I doubt we will take any projects where we will have that much collision. Projects that we tend to work on are smaller in scale, so that's good for us.
Yeah, you mentioned several times quality-driven planning versus deadline-driven.
Yep.
Does it mean that you're sacrificing quality on deadline-driven?
This is internal project. So the Shepherd is internal project. Our employees will have to manage for a week or 2 or 3 or 5 or 15 until we get that report that they asked for. So this one, user facing. So what Shepherd does? It's a single sign-on system, and it's a licensing management system. So you come to our site, leave us some money, we give you a license, you download software. That's all done through Shepherd. So it processes cards, PayPal, it issues licenses, sends you renewal, reminds you that you should renew, reminds you that your card has expired, like that type of. We did not find a solution that we can just use. So we developed our own, and it has like client-facing part of the system that's like completely quality-driven. That cannot be messed up. And there is a back office application that has all sorts of business metrics, like what is your monthly recurring revenue, what is your average revenue per user, business metrics, business intelligence, reporting, some licensing management, transfer this license to another user or whatever. That does not have to be to the standards that we put for client-facing pages. So just that can wait. That's the type of work that can wait. Plus, if you are like deadline oriented, you see which are the things that you cannot compromise on. Client-facing pages, no compromise. Data migration and packing of all the business intelligence data, not a compromise. Business intelligence data is really important. Backup, account lifecycle, not a compromise. Discounting functionality, compromise, that can come later. We will add discounts later on. So you just make decisions and then make sure that you fit in the given time frame. That's it. Okay, thank you very much.